everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Aarti, your life coach and soft skills trainer, and you're watching my show Amplify with Aarti, a show which brings stories of change makers. And today we have a very special guest, Mr. Rupam Dutta. Rupam, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Aarti. It's always a pleasure to connect you to do a conversations. And first time I'm coming on your Amplify with Aarti show. Otherwise, we had a lot of chats, so I'm sure it'll be great.
I'm sure people are going to learn a lot from you. Rupam is the GM of Radisson Blue Hotels. He's a new age, charismatic leader. Lots to learn, so stay tuned till the end to listen to him. So Rupam, let's get started. I want to ask you that, were you very sure about this career path as being a hotelier, or life had some other twists and turns?
Till the time I was not aware of the industry, I never knew that I'll be a hotelier. But time I realized that there is something called hotel, and then I came across some friends and common friends, saw them and got inspired, and I knew that, this is probably the industry that I should be following.
Oh, wow. So, Rupam, whenever I see students, they normally come to hotel industry to become a chef. There are other lines. You chose F&B. Why F&B?
During the training time, I think that's the first practical introduction to the industry's, nitty-gritties and how it works. I realized that the challenges, though their challenges are there with every other department, but F&B was vast. Like, I was doing my training in Hotel Hindustan International back in 1992, and number of restaurants, the kind of planning goes behind operating each of these restaurants in different ways and all, was something that I realized that they handle a huge amount of, they run a huge amount of planning to execute those operations. So I think from there on, also I realized, and the layer of people in the food and beverage is very, very different. So you starting from, a utility worker to the managers, you got to really come across and handle each of them. So I think that was quite exciting for me. And I spent a lot of time in the food and beverage area. So that's how I choose this stream as F&B.
Students complain a lot about the trainings. You just mentioned how you started your career in 1992 when you were trained in the hotel. So any memorable incidents from your training? I know a lot of hardships, but any memorable incidents that you can recall?
Like when you say any memorable, I would say, oh my God, I need to really select one of them, right? So I have so much of memorable. But first thing that I realized that you get to know a lot of people and their psychology. So there was a beautiful restaurant that I used to work called Palm Court, and Palm Court was the we used to call those days the coffee shop. We call as like, which is today's date, we call it as all day dining. So coffee shop, there was a chef who used to be the pantry chef, and pantry generally when you have your ice creams and the juices and milkshakes and tutti fruttis and the tea coffees, everything is made. So in Palm Court, there was a beautiful item. We used to have an amazing ice cream boat, and then I had this knack. I was always eyeing for that, and everybody told me that if you can eat that from the chef who's there, it will be a very, very challenging part, and we will really come back and give you a treat. So then I realized that I was doing night shifts many days, and then I used to get in touch with the chef, and that made me okay. But the first thing that came to me was that take the challenge and go ahead and eat that ice cream. But eventually, even being a middle class background, you also don't get to see that very regularly. Let me be honest with you. So when you see such exciting items in the menu, and then the challenge comes that can you eat? So I tried coming close to the chef, and trust me, he was a very elderly chef, and he was almost like my dad's age. He was close to retiring, and then a very, very hard gentleman to crack. So I used to tell him, Chacha, why don't you take some rest in the night? I will come and press your legs. So I used to, and he didn't take my invitation initially. But then at some point of time, I said, Chacha, I'm just like your son. Why don't you come and rest for a while? I'll press your leg. I see you standing for a long time. So I used that to connect with him. I realized that, it's very rare somebody is coming and helping out like a son, generally, So somehow he found a soft corner for me. And then he asked me, what do you want? I said, can I have one ice cream from you? So I realized that everybody is great in their way. And then I took the chance and had my ice cream. But I realized that by doing this small trick, I've also fallen in love with him. Sort of, it was genuine. After that, I realized that ice cream was just probably one reason to connect with him. But then otherwise, I started uh, connecting with him as a very senior hotelier. So that is something which I'll always remember, that you can always win a person by coming close to them. It's not a big deal. So ice cream was a very small thing, but I won't like that many.
Such a hilarious incident, but Rupam, so much to learn from it. It's such an inspiring one. I'm sure people who are listening to you, see, we all come from middle class. It's not that every day we are dining in a five-star restaurant or hotel. And when we see all this, I'm sure so many people would resonate with you. And such an important take, your leadership skills, that connecting people at the grassroots level is so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
leadership is all about not name tags, it's all about influence. And I think you are a perfect example and so much to learn from you. So,
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. And learning is a continuous process. I always believe in that Albert Einstein quote that learning starts at birth and ceases at death. And I have seen you in the social media journey, and last 2 years I've known you. You always keep upgrading yourself. So, in the initial years, what all new skills did you acquire to reach to this level?
Thank you for asking these questions. I'll tell you, when I was studying, I studied from a wonderful college in those days called Institute. I mean, it is there in Calcutta, called Institute of Advanced Management. And I was fortunate. We all were fortunate to have some amazing, faculties, the heads of departments. They used to really. So academic was taken care there. But when we entered the industry, the first thing that I learned, that of course what they taught me, I was connecting with those, like the technical side, how to set up a restaurant, how to work in the formalities of front office and the housekeepings and the kitchen, everything else. But then what I realized is the biggest thing that happens is knowing human. So the biggest learning that comes from observations. So I never wanted to miss my training because I realized that that's my introduction to the industry, and I don't want to give a gap for a single day. Trust me, my only thing was that can I be the best trainee? Can I work the hardest among all of them, the most hardworking trainee? I had the choice to, we were smart. In those days, it was also a lot of students were there from those times. Said, what do you have to do so many things what they are asking? You just don't have to do so. We are all supposed to be managers. So it was not, something very interesting for me. I was always looking at that. You have an opportunity to observe so much of things. And I don't want to give a gap to each of these. So that made me, the observations was my biggest learning. I wasn't very good in my communication, Aarti. Let me accept the fact that I have studied from a regional language, Bengali medium school. So obviously there was a challenge for people who come from the regional language into the course of hoteliering. So it was challenge. But then I realized that that can be always made a strength in the future going forward. But let me observe. Just because I'm not so good in English does not stop me from watching what is happening around. If I'm observing it well, I will use it. So I had the opportunity to come back, even if you don't say that in front of everybody else, but I can reach out to my captains, my managers, and I don't have to tell them that in English. I used to tell them, "Sir, मैं आपसे थोड़ा बाद में बात कर सकता हूँ? एक 10 मिनट के बाद या आधा घंटे के बाद." So I used to go and tell them that I observe this Hindi में. So I observe the, can I do this? So this boy has been watching this, how to. So my biggest learning was observations. And you observe, one is the work, and you also observe from what people are doing mistakes. You learn from others' mistakes. So that's a huge dictionary that in front of you. You watch it. If you carefully see what's going wrong and what's going right, you learn it by observations. You don't have to do a mistake to learn. I used to learn by watching what everybody else is doing, what's going right and what's going wrong. So that was one of my biggest learning, I feel. Yeah.
Beautiful. Just to reiterate for every one of you who is listening, hotel industry is an industry where there's a lot of grit, a lot of resilience is required. And Rupam is one of the finest GM. I have seen so many GMs. I've worked with so many of them. But one of the finest leader I've come across, Rupam, is that's absolutely you. And he mentioned some most beautiful point, observation. because if you don't observe, you will not learn. So nobody is going to hold your hand and teach you every time. And second is accepting that this is something I don't know, this is I can improve upon. And communication is not just speaking in English. Rupam ne bahut acha kaha. Communication is not equal to English. English is just a language. Yes, you can enhance your English, that's a different skill. So it's not necessary that if you don't know English, you can't be a good communicator. Hindi mein baat kar sakte ho, apni local language mein baat kar sakte ho. And he managed to learn English also because you get a lot of foreign guests, and that's also a great learning, that you can learn anything if you want to learn. So that's the determination and
even trust. I think to add on, even the learning English also came by listening to what conversations going on.
Wow.
So I used to watch what my seniors are talking, what the manager is talking when there is a complaint on a table, when there is a guest handling happening, what language. So I used to do a sort of acting when everything was getting over. I stand in front of a mirror and talk like the manager. What was he talking? So I used to grab even that. So you watch carefully, you listen carefully, even learn English also. But you got to practice it.
Great communicators are only those who can listen, and most of us don't listen. And active listening is important, not a cosmetic listening.
Absolutely.
So many young people are listening to you. Your amplification mantra of success, you reaching to the top, making up to the top. Everybody wants to reach there. What would you advise to the youth?
Groom yourself to be in the service of people. Forget about hoteliering. Even if you want to be successful in your life, you got to devote yourself to the service of people wherever you are. You could be a doctor, you could be an engineer, you could be any profession. If you really think, if you respect your profession, you got to really think that I'm doing something for someone. There is someone who's at the end is getting your service. Even if you design a product, even if you design a code, anything that or an app, it's been used by somebody. So think always that who is going to use your service? Are they getting any benefit? Do they remember you what you're delivering? So the servicing to human is something is very, 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 very important that I feel that everyone should keep in mind. Aarti, I think that's the one
Absolutely.
mantra you should always keep.
Customer centric, because otherwise it's no use. Even if you're an entrepreneur, you're doing something of your own. If you're not customer centric, nobody's going to buy your product. Your product might be very fancy.
Absolutely. Yeah, someone is absolutely using your service, your product, what you provide. Someone is using it. Make that experience great. In fact, I was attending a sort of session, a meeting where I was presenting to project management, group. So I was talking about that. Why is it important for someone to deliver a product when the end users are enjoying the benefit of that product? So don't do it just for the sake of doing. Think of who's using it and what are they getting. That's very important.
Very nicely said. This is my aha moment of the interview. Very beautifully put. I'm going to remember always. So Rupam, let's play a game now. Let people know the fun element or a personal side of Rupam. I'm sure many people want to know back at office. So I'm going to ask you a rapid fire questions. So the rule of the game is no thinking. The first word comes out. One word or one liner. Okay. So let's go ahead. So I've written few questions. So I'm going to ask. So are you set?
Yeah, all done.
Okay. So if you were to describe Rupam in one word, what it would be?
Energy.
Yes.
Energy.
I completely resonate. Your biggest challenge as a hotelier?
Well, I'll not say biggest challenge, but then to me, understanding human becomes very easy. And at times maybe the expertise that I have knowing human, I at times feel that why am I not getting everyone to understand the way I look at it, human? When I can understand human psychology or when you handle people, it becomes so easy to me. I can connect with anyone in a second. If I do a conversation, I can ensure that that person is not going to go back without knowing or letting me know about him. It becomes a little bit of challenging. I think that's something to do with my thing that I expect everyone to understand every human. That's a challenge.
So Rupam, your favorite food?
In Bengali, I'm a very desi diner. So though I work in hotel, but then my favorite food has been always what is cooked at home. So in Bengalis, there is masoor dal, and rice, and crisp fried potatoes, and with a bit of desi ghee. So I think that's my and if it is possible, egg omelette, fried masala, typical. So that's my favorite food.
Great, great. So, Rupam, one song that you resonate right now your life with?
Thank you, Aarti. I'm quite fond of music. So I usually start my day with prayer songs, and then followed by take my regional songs, my Bengali favorite songs, and then throughout the day I'll be singing something. So my life, always one song that inspires me, always that Ruk Jana Nahi.
Wow.
Tu. So that's my favorite song.
That shows your personality, Rupam. I think your perseverance, your grit, your resilience. And I see you performing and showing up every day. And being a GM and being a hotelier is not easy. And you do it with such a beautiful smile. So, one more question. I've always seen you smiling. Is there anything that makes you angry?
I get angry. It's not that I don't get angry, but then what happened is I realized that I want to be always an example to everyone else. And I realized that when you get angry, you actually create a different impression about yourself. So even if you get angry, I have a way to handle that. I'm pretty good at that. So that's how I manage. So I do get angry, but I know how to display that.
That's nice. Your favorite book, if you read?
Well, I think The Monk Who Sold Ferrari.
Yeah, that's a beautiful one. Yes, that's absolutely amazing one. Your inspiration, Rupam, in life? Sorry, you were saying something.
No, I said, Robin Sharma has been one of the biggest influence from a very early stage of my career. So I follow him not now, I follow him for more than a decade now. And so the inspiration, I see it many times. There are people who I worked with, different supervisors, bosses, and many times my inspiration has come from people who were my colleague, very junior, who just started their career. At times, you must be seeing many times I post my, in my social media, in LinkedIn and Insta, that I get a lot of inspiration from a houseman, somebody working in the engineering, somebody in the reception.
I recently saw that you had posted something with your front office people.
Yes, you're right. So I think a lot of inspiration actually comes from them. See, I tell everyone that, at my positions, generally, you'll not find at the ground I'm doing anything. It's basically those people who are delivering. I'm probably stitching the thread. I'm probably keeping the hotel going. But then it's those people who are inspiring me with their work. So bosses, colleagues, and people who are working with your team. So that's my inspiration, typically.
Thank you. So Rupam, this or that, tea or coffee?
Tea.
Tea, okay. Bollywood or Hollywood?
Bollywood.
Okay.
And you'll be. It's movies like comedies. I used to love watching movies of Govinda. So it's all about entertainment. So Bollywood.
Okay, cricket or a movie?
Movie.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you one more question because you're a Bengali. Cricket or football?
Cricket.
Okay, and the last one, Rupam as a mentor and Rupam as a GM.
Lifetime mentor. I would always be.
Great, great. You did a fab job in the rapid fire, and I'm sure your office people and people whom you work with are going to have a lot of fun watching this whole episode. And you've told some amazing, amazing points. And really thankful for coming and gracing my show, Rupam. This interview is indeed very inspirational and lots to learn from it. Thank you so much for coming and gracing my show.
I wanted to thank you for initiating this whole thing. I would request everyone to watch Aarti's show, and Aarti is one of them that I follow without fail. So there are a lot of things that I take away from everything that Aarti shares, and don't leave an opportunity to listen to her. And the best part is she's not been occasional, she's been every day. So you cannot have a bad day. You look at her videos, look at her posts, you cannot have a bad day. So I take a lot of things when I look at your posts every day. Thank you, Aarti, for inspiring everyone and being such a good coach to a lot of people. I wanted to reach out to all the young people. Please follow Aarti.
Thank you so much, Rupam. So let's amplify with Aarti and do subscribe for more such interesting interview. And I want to leave you at this note. Hold on to your dreams and just believe you can. Nothing is going to stop you. Just dare and dream and work towards it. Be disciplined. Thank you so much, Rupam. Good night. Bye-bye. Take care.